Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for meeting with me today to go over your child's reading assessments. I have a few assessments to go over, just to talk about how she's been doing in class. She's been doing super great overall, super great kid. So these three assessments that we did are over reading. So the first one we'll talk about is this is the letter sound knowledge as well as the past screener. So this one basically goes over letters and letter sounds. So for this one, she got 26 out of 26. These are all uppercase letters, so basically she said knows the name, so she would point to a letter and she would tell me the name of it. She got all these correct.
Okay.
The only issue we had on these two was one letter. So for the lowercase, she got everything except for the lowercase q, where she called it p.
Okay.
And then she did the same thing for these. So these are letter sounds. So I would point to letter and then she would tell me what the sound is. So for example, E says eh. Only issue with this one, again, she got the lowercase q and said p, said the sound for p, so she got 25 out of 26 for that. But overall, this does show that she knows almost all of her letters and letter sounds, and that she does identify them with both uppercase and lowercase. So that is a really good starting point. And then this assessment is pretty much the same thing. So once again, she did the exact same thing for this one. So for all her uppercase, we're good. Lowercase, again, just had that one issue of the lowercase q kind of mixing it up and saying p, and then the same thing for the letter sounds. Once again, just confusing lowercase q with p and saying the p sound. But overall, again, she got 26 of this one and then just missed those two.
So what should we do to work on that at home?
So working on that is just like, again, going over each letter.
Okay.
There's a lot of flashcards available, even Dollar Tree has them,
Okay.
kind of, or just even writing them down, saying, okay, what letter is this? What sound does it make? And just doing for both uppercase and lowercase.
Okay.
And then the next we did was vowel sounds. She did really great on all these. So for both the long and short sounds. So all vowels have two sounds. They have a short sound, like so E says eh. And then the long sound, they all say their name. So E says E, A says A. She got all of those and she was great. And then these are short vowel sounds, again, practicing just the short vowels. And these are in CVC words, or consonant vowel consonant words. They have a vowel in the middle and then consonants on both sides. So for these, for each line here, she really only missed one. Once again, so for these ones, we are seeing a little bit of B and D reversal. So for the word bun, she said done.
Okay.
And then for this one, she had a little bit of trouble finding the short vowel sound. So instead of saying set, she said seat with the long vowel sound. But that is pretty common. And then again, for this line, she missed the D and B and just reversed them. So overall, she got 11 out of 15 of these words. So these two are real words that she did well, and then this last line, they're called nonsense words.
Okay.
They're not real words, but they're just practicing knowing what the letter sounds are. Overall, she did pretty well. We're just kind of looking into those B and D reversals and kind of making sure she knows those patterns. But overall, she did really well. So again, she got all the uppercase letters. She missed that one lowercase with the Q, and then just the one letter sound with the reversing the P and Qs. She got all her vowel sounds, and then she just missed those three of the CVC words. So once again, just to review, the letter sounds Q, as well as those B and D reversals, as well as some decoding fluency, is just making sure she knows how to decode and make sure she's saying the right vowel sounds in those words. So one little activity I have that I think could really help her is this little tool. So in class, we do this one little sign for B and D, where it's like a bed. So this is B, this is D.
Okay.
And so whenever she comes to that letter and she gets kind of stuck, okay, put your hands up and make your B and D. And that way the B always comes first, like in the bed. And so you can take these home. And then as well, we also have some little sayings. So like for the letter B, we say bat, then ball for writing, because she does sometimes reverse them when she's writing as well.
Okay.
So again, we have some just writing practice, and then making sure she knows that she can use that little tool to get the B and the D correct. So overall, I think these are really simple fixes that we can get done really fast. So I think overall, not really worried about any of her like letters and letter sounds, but just making sure we get those kind of little problem areas.
We'll make sure we get those flashcards too, so we can work on that.
And those are pretty easy. You just writing the letters at home, just kind of doing that repetition can be really good help.
Okay.
Any questions about that?
Nope.
Okay. So the next assessment that we did is for phonological awareness, and that's just a fancy word for sounds. So for this test, this is called the past screener. So this test is basically I am telling her words, she's listening, and she's responding to me. So this one, she did have a little bit of trouble with this. There was kind of a lot of background kind of sounds going on in the classroom at the time, so that could have been one of the issues. So for this one, we'll start here. So for example, I would tell her to say the word bookcase, and she would repeat back to me, and then we would change one part of the syllable. So for this one, we would say, okay, say bookcase. Now we're gonna say bookcase, but we're not gonna say the word book. So her response was case. So the A's mean that she got the answer correct, and it was automatic, which means it took less than 3 seconds. Any C's means she got it correct, but it took more than 3 seconds, and the X's are incorrect. So for these first 3, she did pretty well. She got bookcase, sunset, and spaceship, but she had a little bit of trouble with the ones that had kind of not full compound words, like silver and market, but overall, not that bad for her first try. And then this second one, she had a little bit more trouble because, again, they're not full words. They're kind of splitting those syllables into 2. She got fantastic on this one, but she had trouble with other ones like umbrella, October. Like this one, she'll usually say this sound that I wanted her to eliminate. So this is called phoneme deletion. So it's like we're kind of working on saying, this is the word, one sound, we're taking away one sound and what's left. And she has sometimes trouble figuring out what's going to be left after we take one sound away. So this next part, this is again phoneme deletion. So say the word feet, and then I would tell her, okay, we're gonna say the word feet, but we're gonna take off the sound. So she didn't get really any of these at the first time, but the second time she got it. So again, working on making sure she knows what the initial sounds are. So to the very first sounds of the word that we're deleting or taking off, just making sure that she can understand in her head, okay, what sound am I taking off and what is going to be left. So these are pretty good. These are called phoneme substitution. We're changing the sounds in one part of the word. So for example, we said the word guide, and we're changing the g sound at the front to the r sound. Okay. It turns into ride. She got almost all of these almost automatically. She got ride, more to door, feel to seal, gum to thumb, and lead to said. She got all those correct, and she had an easier time with changing that very first sound. And for these ones, she did a little bit better on this one. So once again, we're trying to delete these. So we're deleting the first syllable. So sleep, taking off that S sound at the end, at the beginning, turned into leap. She got this one, and then one she did miss was crane to rain. She kind of mixed up and said, I think she did a can, and got rid of that R sound at the beginning because it is a kind of a harder sound to catch. And then back to these. Now we went from changing, these were the first sounds, now we're changing the last sounds. She did pretty well on that. So for example, went to win, range to rain. She did very well on that, so she has a better time changing the last sound and then the first sound. Sometimes probably because it's mostly easier to hear the last sound than the first sound sometimes. That could have been a reason why she did better on that one. And then again, these are some kind of similar situations, so those phoneme deletions and phoneme substitutions. So again, she had a hard time with the deletions like these, like bread, now don't say the R sound. So these are all the second phonemes. She had an easier time with these first ones and then kind of got off on all these. So again, we're working on those phoneme deletion, taking away one sound, and the substitution, which is changing one sound to another. So overall, she had a little hard time on that, but clearly she knows her letter sounds. So I think just getting that connection and changing it from one to another. Okay. So I do have one activity that I think could really help her. So this first column is going to be deletion. So these are focusing on the second sound. Since we know she had an easier time with the first sound and the last sound, so changing the second sound in a blend. So for example, say the word glass, and you're taking away the O sound. So it turns from glass into gas. Okay. And so these are just practicing deleting that second sound. I think that could be really beneficial for her to do at home. And then these columns are phoneme substitution. So we're taking one sound and we're changing it to another. So we have plate, we're changing that first sound p to s, it turned into slate. So just kind of changing those sounds and getting that change in her head, I think is really gonna help her. I think she could grow far with these, but just kind of working more practicing on that would be good.
Okay, we'll make sure to work on that.
Any questions about this one?
Perfect. I think I'm pretty cool.
Okay, for our last assessment, this was a longer assessment. This is called DIBELS. So
Okay.
this measures a bunch of things. So we have a couple pages here. So these are her overall scores, and we're gonna break down each of these categories.
Okay.
So the very first one we did was letter naming fluency. So these tests are timed. So she got 1 minute and she had to tell me how many letters in their names. These are both uppercase and lowercase. So this was the last one she got to in 1 minute. And once again, the only problem she had was the P and changing it to Q. And then she also said V for J. The timer kind of went off on this one, so I think that's why she got that confused. She usually does get that one because she got it up here. I think the timer going off kind of threw her off. So overall, in 1 minute, she got 56 total correct, so that was pretty good. So because we are working on her speed and her fluency, this one was pretty good overall. Just again, working on that P and Q, making sure she knows what that letter is.
Okay.
So for our next one, this is called phonemic segmentation fluency. And what that means is that we are just breaking down sounds. So this one, I'm telling her a word and she's going to break it down for me. So what I told her is what I'm going to say a word, she's going to tap out the sound with her fingers. So first word, to, she said t, oo, and just breaking those down. So for this line, she got all of the sounds correct. This line, she just missed this word. She said it instead of if. This one, she just missed one. Once again, those B and D reversals. Instead of mad, she said mab. And this one, she just missed this last one. So overall, she got to right here in 1 minute, which is pretty good. So overall, she got 33 correct sounds. And so she did pretty good on that one, and she was a pretty good speed on that one as well. Just again, making sure those B and D reversals, and then making sure she's kind of listening through the whole word and finding each sound. Overall, not too bad though on that one. This next one is nonsense word fluency. So these are not real words, but just kind of seeing if she knows the patterns of each letter and their sound. She did the best overall on these ones. So each word has 2 scores. This one is, did she name the sounds correctly? And this one is, did she say the word correctly? So the only one she missed on this line was neg. She said teg. And then this one, once again, that B and D reversal, she said rad instead of rab. And then this one, once again, those short and long vowels, she said sat instead of set. So overall, she got 42 correct sounds and 12 out of 15 correct words in 1 minute. So again, not too bad, just working on those B and D reversals and making sure she's listening to those sounds. But not bad overall. And our last one we have is our word reading fluency. So she would point to the word and she would read the whole thing. So once again, these are all timed for 1 minute. So in 1 minute, she stopped at both. This one she kind of had a hard time with. I think the timer kind of was scaring her a little bit. That's pretty common because she could see the timer. I think next time we'll probably put the timer where she can't see it. So when she missed here was all, she said like ol. And then she kind of reversed these. She said on instead of no. And then this one, the timer was kind of rushing her, so I think she said main instead of man, just kind of reversing those short and long vowels. And then she didn't get the word both, she said both, again, with the short and long vowels. But again, not too bad, so working on those short and long vowel sounds, making sure she knows, like, if a vowel is in the middle of a word without, like, the E at the end, it's going to say it's short sound, because it's stuck in between those consonants. And this one, since it's not, it's going to say the long sound. So just making sure she knows those rules, but I think she'll be fine.
Okay.
So overall, going over her scores, in each category, she was proficient except for the segmentation fluency, and most of that was because of her speed and like just, again, doing 1 minute at a time. So overall, her total score was 369. If we're looking at this is the benchmarks, is like the average of where they should be in this part of the year. So her score was a 369, which does put her in the below basic category or the red category, but she was very close to the basic proficient. So I think with working on, again, those B and D reversals, taking her time and really thinking through the words and making sure she's saying the correct sounds is going to be really helpful. I think she can get there. Also, again, the timing I think kind of scared her. It usually happens, so making sure she goes over all those and like thinks through them carefully without thinking about the timer, I think she can get to where she needs to be. But overall, not too bad because she was proficient in every category by themselves except for this one. I think she's well where she needs to be.
Okay.
I think she'll get there pretty soon. So for this one, I do have one activity I think will really help her. So again, these are working on short sounds, short vowel sounds, because that was the one she missed the most. So this one, they can do a lot of things with this. They can read each line and then circle the picture that matches. They can read all of them and then find the matching picture, and they can practice sounding out each word, like dog, making sure she knows that this is the short vowel sound and not the long vowel sound. And the same for all these. So there's short I, short E, U, and all the other ones. And then again, the matching picture can really help her kind of see what word she's looking for. But overall, again, I'm not really concerned about much of anything. I think she'll get to where she needs to be.
Okay.
Just working on those again, those B and D reversals are the biggest thing, and then making sure she watches her short and long vowel sounds
Okay.
in her CVC words.
All right, we'll be working on those.
Is there any questions for me?
Mm-mm.
Perfect.